Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the MODC Architecture channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the sort of 10 ways that I found it easiest to survive doing architecture at university. So the reason why I'm making this video is because it's tough to just go, with no idea of what it's going to be like, what sort of the challenges you'll face, and you read things on student rooms, but you don't really get the full sense of what's going on just from someone typing it behind a screen. So I thought I'd talk to you guys face to face and really sort of get into the nitty gritty things that you kind of need to do, or maybe not need to do, but what I found helpful to me at least. So the sort of things that I'll be going through today are sort of lifestyle habits, health, equipment that you need, financial sort of situations or financial requirements at least from the university I go to, and work ethic. And work ethic is a huge thing as well, or just what sort of work you're expected to do and what work you should be doing and how you should be proactive in getting from from your first year to your third year, the sort of progression you're going through. um, it's a really tough journey, but it's one that I found really fun, really interesting, and I can't wait to get into the architectural world. So these sort of 10 things have helped me keep my passion for architecture, maintain it and develop it into something that will allow me to want to work in the real world for however many years I decide to do architecture. So step number one is just probably the most important thing. And, it may not sound, but it's health. You need to keep your health as sort of as good as possible throughout this course, because if you start sleeping irregularly and you start eating really badly, then it really starts having an effect on you as a person, your mental health, it starts affecting everything, your work, etc, etc. So you need to keep a balanced sort of healthy lifestyle of work hard, sort of play hard thing. It's a cliche term, I know, but it really does work. There's a here's a little sort of pie chart thing which my tutor actually sent to me, or one of the heads of my course, and I think it really shows how the tutors feel you should be working and how effectively you should be working, because as you can see, a large chunk of it is work hard, but then a large chunk of it is relaxation time. So if you take that relaxation time and you really really just blow off some steam and let it all out, and then that work time is really concentrated hardcore working, then you should be able to not feel like architecture takes over you. And to be honest, in second year at least, architecture felt like it took over my life. I didn't really have anything else going on. I didn't go out. I didn't really go and socialise that much. It was kind of quite a I kept myself to myself, and that showed with my grade as well. I didn't get the best grade in second year, but in third year I've looked to really sort of address the health thing and take that forward into being a key part of my university life, and it's shown up in my marks, and it's shown up in just how I'm living. I've started this channel for crying out loud. Like it's allowed me to do more things, and doing this channel is almost not a distraction from work, but it's something to help me blow off steam and be a bit more creative with something different. Something just to bring sort of more things into my life that I'm enjoying doing. I'm really enjoying making these videos. I mean, albeit I've only made like 2 or 3, but I'm streaming as well, and it just gives me a break from that intensive work that architecture can bring. So yeah, long and the short of it, health, maintain a balanced sort of daily routine, and eat well, drink plenty, the normal stuff. But it's really easy to forget the normal stuff at university because you're not living with your parents. You're not, you're being independent for probably what is the first time for most of you. So it's really, really important to keep these things in check, and then everything else will benefit. Everything else will benefit. The second one of these sort of 10 tips is extracurricular stuff. So, for example, what I'm doing here is an extracurricular activity. Yes, it's not with the university, but it doesn't have to be with the university. Not everything has to be circled around university life when you're at university. You're being independent. You're most likely in a city that you've never lived in before, or in my case, never been to, and exploring that city is really, really it's fun, it's relaxing, and you could find a deep passion within you to do something that you never thought you would do otherwise if you were just at home. So I would implore you to go and chase extracurricular activities, just so that you're doing something different from just, going out with your mates, working, doing, maybe playing games in gaming or something in your house, or doing whatever that you like doing. Just try and do something different, or do something out of your comfort zone perhaps, and then you never know, you may end up falling in love with it, and then that's a sort of extracurricular activity that you take throughout your university life. For me, I've been doing a lot of cricket, because cricket is, it's my sport that I love doing. I'm not amazing at it, but I still love doing it, so I'm going to maintain doing that throughout. And yes, it's hard to do over winter, but you find ways. There are sort of winter sessions and stuff, but for example, there's a karate studio that I keep passing every day, and I always thought, well, I could give it a try maybe, but I never did, and I kind of regret that. So maybe I'll go and do it next week or something. But you get my point, that you need to really, well, you don't need to, but I find it useful to branch out and do different things during your university life, because this is the most free you're ever going to be in adulthood. You've got no massive real commitments in your life, apart from paying your rent or whatever, and attending university. But you're only in university for a couple of days, or 3 or 4 days a week, with required lectures, and use the other time to do work, and also to explore and expand what you do. Tip 3 ties in with what I've been talking about with extracurricular stuff and health, is work balance. So balancing that university work to the fun side of things, the work hard, play hard kind of concept. And it's what I tend to do is I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I go, give myself half an hour to wake up, then make sure I'm at the gym. Well, no, I don't give myself half an hour to wake up. I give myself about 15 minutes to wake up and get dressed and stuff, and then I go to the gym and make it to the gym for about 7:30, and then from 7:30 to 9 o'clock I'm at the gym, and then I get home at around 9:15, and then I have I have a shower, have my breakfast, and get ready for university or just working at 10 a.m. So then I work from 10 until about lunchtime, cook lunch. My lunch break's normally from about 12:30 to 1:15ish, 1:30. To do all the washing up and stuff, because you've got to be a good housemate, do all your washing up as well, don't piss anyone off. And then at 1:30 till about 5:30 I work again, so that's another 4 hours. So I've done about 6 hours of work in the day, and then I have dinner at around 6ish. You cook your dinner, have dinner around 6ish, end at 6:30, and then I maybe work for another hour or two after that until about 8:30, and then that's me done for the day. I only work past dinner if I really feel like I have to, and haven't achieved much. So if I'm doing concentrated work for those initial 6 hours in the day, then I won't have to do that 2 hours after work. So if I've been watching a video or something, I've been kind of lackluster in the day, that I have to do those 2 hours after dinner, and that's kind of like punishing myself, I guess. So I can't chill with anyone or do whatever. So that's how I do it, and I find it's really worked for me in third year. It's really helped, and then after that you do whatever you want. Do your extracurricular stuff, do your chilling with your mates, going out, whatever. It's just I've got a daily routine going on that's really working for me, but it's important to find what works for you, and maybe the getting up early doesn't work for you. I've got a friend that doesn't really wake up until about 11 and goes to bed at about 2 or 3, but he gets his work done just as effectively even as me. So you've got to find that balance, find the time where you feel most comfortable waking up, you feel like you're really refreshed, and you make sure you get enough sleep though. That's the main thing. You can't just have 4 hours sleep, wake up, and then expect yourself to be effective and creative and work in a effective manner. Sorry, I've used effective twice there, but you can't expect yourself to work in an effective manner if you're having 4 hours sleep a night. So you need to make sure you get that 8 hours, and generally you don't sleep 8 hours when you go to bed for 8 hours. You need to go to bed for around 9 hours to get your 8 hours sleep. So just make sure that you balance things. That's definitely an important part of university life. tip 4 is kind of like prioritize things. You know, when you're in your first year and stuff, you don't really need to go, oh, I've got so much work to do, I need to prioritize this, I'm doing nothing but work, because again, that's not healthy. However, when you get into your second year, your end of second year, and your third year, your entirety of third year pretty much, you need to prioritize things, you need to get better at that, you need to really feel for what is going to take a long time in terms of work and what's going to take a short amount of time. So it's working smart rather than working long. So working long hours, you don't need to do that. You need to work smart. But then when the work does pile up, which it will pile up, and you won't see it coming, but then it'll suddenly hit you like that, and you really need to knuckle down and be effective and be creative and concise with what you're doing for a couple of days. It only lasts 2 or 3 days, really, unless you're really behind, in which case you may be a week behind. You need to work like this for a week, but you need to prioritize things. So it may be that you're working 10-hour days, but you're producing and producing and producing, and that's really rewarding if you're really into architecture, if you're really passionate about it. I found that it's really rewarding making these pages, these portfolio pages, and then presenting them to your tutor confidently as well. You need to be confident when you produce your work and present it as well. But that's another step. We'll get on to that. So I find prioritizing a very important part of university life. Prioritizing when you should go out and when you should, you maybe should get a good night's sleep and work the next day. If you've got a crit on the Thursday and you want to go out on sports night on the Wednesday, maybe not the best idea, because sport night, from past experiences, normally ends around 5 a.m. and then you've got to wake up at 9 a.m, be in university for 10 a.m, giving a presentation at 10:30. You're going to be dead. You might even still be pissed. It would be awful. It would be terrible. Your tutor probably wouldn't appreciate you stinking of booze and stuff, and it just would be a train wreck. So don't do that. Or I would advise against it. You can do it if you somehow survive it. Fair enough. Well played. I could never do it. So make sure that you prioritize your work. You prioritize what you're doing each and every day when work gets hard, when work gets overloaded, and don't feel like it's overwhelming, because it will do. It may feel a bit overwhelming, but just know that if you take a step back, you look at everything you've got to do, make a list, tick off what you want to do that day, and then do it. That will put you in good stead to survive those sort of really tough occasions where you'll feel helpless and you feel like you have no idea where to start, where to begin. Just do it. Just start. Tip 5, I would be a proactive learner. What I found in my first year is I did nothing extra. And that's the curse of the first year kind of person, is you're going into it, you don't really know what to expect, and you're sort of taking the piss a bit. That's what I did. I took the piss a bit in the first year. I was a terrible first year student, I did the opposite of everything I'm telling you to do in this video, really. I was really bad with health. I never really went to anything extra, apart from my cricket in the summer, which was quite bad because, summer's where it's the business end, so you don't want to be taking away too much from your work there, but, either way. I wasn't really balancing my work, I was going out too much, and I wasn't being a proactive learner. By proactive learner, what I mean is you're reading stuff, you're asking your tutors about maybe sources of information to help you with your design project, and you can do this throughout first year, second year, third year. Your tutors are there to help you, so if you're asking for an architect to inspire you, maybe they'll give one of their sort of favourites, and then you can bounce off them and have a discussion with them. But being a proactive learner is looking on Pinterest and looking at interesting drawings that could help you. Being computer savvy is very important in architecture nowadays, at least that I find. I was doing hand stuff all the time in the first year, and then second year I got into the computer a bit more, and third year I'm really into the computer, and my grades have kind of gone up exponentially. But that's just me. That's just me. What I find is looking at Pinterest gives you really good inspiration for new drawings, new ideas, and how to represent things, because it's really hard sometimes to find a good way to represent a drawing or represent an idea that's in your head. And if you look at Pinterest and you find that one thing, that one little thing, the hours of looking through Pinterest will all be worth it, because that drawing will then look amazing, your tutor's going to love it, and you're going to get a great grade because of it. So being a proactive learner is important. Going to the library, reading books, looking at architects, looking at what really inspires you, what really makes you go, I want to design something just like that in my design project, but obviously adding your own twist to it, adding your own personal touch, because that's important too. So 6, this is a big one. Having the equipment, having the correct equipment to complete your architecture degree. You know, you're going to need a few bits of equipment. I've got a couple of bits here. You know, your Rotring pens. Your Rotring pens. These are your bread and butter kind of thing of drawing plans and sections by hand. It's so important to have these because they're so precise. The line weights as well. You'll learn all about this, and I'll talk about this in another video. But line weights are paramount to plans and sections in what you're showing in plan or section and what you're showing in elevation within those drawings, because then you can communicate everything effectively. Your rulers, etc., they're there to help you, draw your straight lines and stuff and make sure that your drawings are clean, precise. Tracing paper, normal paper, wallpaper. For me, I love printing on wallpaper, and it's my absolute baby. It's my thing. I love it. Glue, Yoo-Hoo glue, absolutely fantastic. Yoo-Hoo glue is the glue to use, I find, but also super glue could help. I could go on and on and on, materials-wise, wood, matchsticks to make 1:100 or smaller models, 3D printing, so having a computer in order to 3D print these things personally, or using one of the university computers. But basically what you're going to need is so many materials, so much equipment, that it can seem overwhelming, but you buy things when you need them. Scalpels or cutting mats as well. I tend to work a lot at home, so I tend to work a lot at home, so I've bought all this stuff to work from home because I find it's the best way that I work. I find that if I'm at university, I want to talk to everyone and distract myself, so I really find that working at home is great for me. However, for you, it may be working at university because you bounce off your peers a lot, and you learn a lot from your peers. So that's a great way to work as well. The fact of it being that you may spend your entire student loan on this, which is fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. That's what student loans are for. Well, let's be honest. They're for something else as well. But we move on. We don't worry. We don't worry about it. Just make sure that you're spending well. You're finding you're getting the correct bits of material and stuff. You really just please use them effectively. Use them well. Don't just waste paper. The amount of paper that I've wasted, it will probably make me cry about how much money I've spent or wasted. I've probably wasted over £100 on that stuff, and that's a lot of money as a student. It's a lot. That could, get me. Well, I'll put a list of things that it could get me. It could get me this number of slices of toast, which are bloody integral to my life, or this many drinks, or this much fucking new paper that I just need, that I needed for models and stuff. So just make sure you have the right equipment and use it effectively. My 7th tip is about money and funds. Now, don't be a little bit silly, and then as soon as your student loan comes in, buy £1,000, Louis Vuitton, whatever. Because I've seen people do it, and it's crippled them for the rest of the year, and they haven't been able to work well, or they haven't been able to buy things that will get them towards the goal of getting a 2-2, 2-1 first, etc. So just make sure that you spend your money well. Spend on leisurely items, whatever. I don't really care what you do with your money, except just make sure you set aside that amount that you think you'll need for printing, especially for at my university. We have to pay for our own printing. We get about £30 on a sort of card thing, and it gets you £30 free printing. That won't cover it. £30 will not cover it for sure. You need a couple of £100 probably for printing if you're printing in 2nd and 3rd year. 1st year, maybe not. You could probably spend a little bit less on printing. But in 2nd year and 3rd year, you're printing draft prints, you're printing final prints, you're printing stuff that you want to sketch over. It's kind of a rinse and repeat stage in the design process, and it's really, really, really paramount that you do this stage as well to have a good design, because you need to visualize things, you need to really draw over in plan and section. I've got a bunch of a bunch of trace here. You know, I don't know how many bits of trace there are, but yeah, there's got to be at least 20, 30 pages of trace in there. That cost me about £5, but that's just for like one stage of the design. So, and you want about 8 or 9 iterations to have a really good, effective design. So you've got to make sure that you have those funds ready and waiting, and preparing to be liquidated at any point. So just make sure you have the correct amount of money to fund what you're aiming to do. I'm aiming to really go big with the models and stuff, so I've set aside a little bit more money than maybe some people have. Laser cutting and 3D printing can be expensive. 3D printing, generally they'll let you do it for free if you're the only one doing it, because they want people to use it, so they'll start charging you after a while, as I've annoyingly found out. But through laser cutting, make sure you use the cheaper materials to start off with, and then the nicer materials for your final stuff. I was an absolute idiot in my latest laser cutting. I used MDF, which is the cheapest material, 4mm, and then I printed in, or I cut in plywood, 3mm, which is terrible. It's about 4 times the cost of fucking MDF, and I used it, and I was a bit stupid, but of an idiot, and didn't ask for the cheapest material. I said, oh, plywood for sure, because I thought plywood would be the cheapest material. So I'm making mistakes even now, but hopefully it'll help some of you guys to not spend a fucking £100 on some printing that isn't even final design stuff. That's those sums are sort of for your final designs. But hit me hard, but we move on. We just can't probably eat for the next week, but hey oh, it is what it is. We'll move on. And just don't make that mistake. Print cheap, as cheap as you can, really, for your drafts, and showing your tutor to communicate ideas so that he can comment on them. But print, put some effort into your final stuff, because that's the stuff that's really gonna communicate your final design and your final ideas. Tip 8 is being a familiar face in the studio. You've got to have friends in the studio. Well, you don't have to, but it's a good idea to have friends in the studio, peers that you can bounce ideas off. Going into the studio every day, just saying hi to everyone. It doesn't even have to be a long stay. I mean, some of you, I'm very lucky that I live very, very close to my university, so I can pop in and out whenever I want. Really, that's probably one of the main reasons why I work from home as well, is because I find that working effectively, or for me to work effectively, I find that I have to work at home. But then I can afford to just walk into uni, pop in, say hi, take some photos of some models, spend maybe an hour in university, and then come back home and continue working. And that's allowed me to keep myself as a familiar face at university. And you have conversations with people, and they start liking you and stuff, and you start becoming friends, and then you start picking their brain for ideas. Picking their brains so you can bring some of their ideas or their techniques into your project, because that's how you do well in architecture. It's not just a one horse race. Everyone's doing the same sort of struggle that you're doing. Be part of their struggle, help them, and then they'll help you. Treat others as you'd like to be treated. So in terms of you help others, they'll help you, to produce this amazing drawing, which you may not have thought of if you were just working on your own. And it's really important that you are a familiar face for the tutors as well. The tutors see you in the studio, like, oh great, he's working really well. He's really engaging with the architecture. He's really actually passionate about it, which will make them want to engage and put their time into you. I've had plenty of students that I've seen who don't turn up for weeks, and then they'll have a tutorial, and then they'll complain that it was a shit tutorial. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do you expect? You've been in like once in the last month, and then suddenly you've had an hour tutorial. You feel like it's not enough because it's only an hour, and you felt like you've done a month's worth of work. Your tutor can only comment so much on your work throughout your design process. He can only really comment on what you've got in terms of your latest work. He can't comment on what you did in week 1 when you're presenting 4 weeks worth of work, because if he comments on week 1, you'll have to change 3 weeks worth of work. It won't be good for you mentally and in terms of producing your final drawings eventually. So you need to be a familiar face going in. For me, it's every Monday and Thursday are tutorial days. So I'm in on those 2 days for sure. And then Tuesday, Wednesdays and Fridays and Saturdays, to be honest, I go in as well, just to make sure that I'm keeping myself around, keeping myself familiar. The 9th tip that I've got for you is partaking in all of studio life. Everything you can be doing in the studio can help you progress your knowledge of architecture, inspire you to do something in your design project or in your dissertation or in X, Y, and Z. Who cares? But it will help you. It will help you a lot. It may not seem at the time. It may not seem important at the time. However, trust me. I've been on trips where I'm thinking, well, this is just a load of bullshit. But then, as the trip's gone on, you start noticing things. If you start paying attention, you'll bring things in from the trip, and you'll help they'll help you with your design project, or they'll help you with searching for a job after, or they'll help you with whatever. It will help. Going to lectures is important as well, because you meet the people afterwards. You can meet them. They're very personable, the lecturers at my university, but maybe they're a bit more organised at your university. Maybe you can't really go up and ask questions, but you should be able to. I'd be surprised if you weren't really allowed to go up after the lecture and ask the guy some personal questions about what you're thinking, etc., that you didn't want to ask when the floor was open to everyone. So make sure you're engaging in the lecture form. I definitely could have been better at engaging in lectures in my second and first year. Third year I've been a little bit better at it. And there are some extracurricular programs that your university might offer. For example, the one that our university offers is we can go over to Croatia and study there for half a term. One of my friends did that, and he really benefited from it. De-stressed and lived in another country for 6 months, learned the language pretty well, and produced some amazing work as well. Got some great grades, and came back as a fresh face. Everyone was really happy to see him, but he had engaged in that part the university had offered. Obviously, that's an extreme case. I'm not asking you to say, I'm not saying go off and live in another country for 6 months, because you may not be able to afford to do that, and that's fair enough. I certainly couldn't do it because I don't think I'd have I'm not independent maybe enough yet to live in another country, but I definitely think that it was really good for him, and I definitely think that just attending lectures, going to trips, attending in maybe some sort of extracurricular activity or program which engages you with an architect that the university have brought in could be really helpful, because that's what I'm doing as well. I'm doing an architecture scheme where I'm meeting with an external architect, someone who's actually in the field 3 times, going through their work, they're going through my work, and seeing how I can improve, how I can write my CV and present to employers and make myself more employable, essentially. So it's really important that you engage with these things, and to develop yourself as an architect, to develop yourself as an employable Part 1 assistant, so that you can then continue and go and study for however many years that you want to study architecture. The 10th and final tip from me to you is the university culture side of things can be can envelop people in bad habits and dangerous habits as well. I would implore that you don't take part in drugs, you don't take part in smoking, however socially beneficial it may be. Don't, because it will ruin your life for the years to come. It's also illegal, so it's dangerous as well. If you end up getting a criminal record, I know people do it around you and they don't get caught, and they probably don't give it a second thought nowadays, but if you get caught and you have a criminal record, suddenly your employability fucking drops. It's impossible pretty much to be employed in something like architecture, probably, when I don't know, but I would assume employers generally go for the person who's not got a criminal record over the person who does. The drinking side of things, obviously, it's really fun, good social part, and I would employ you to do that, but do it in moderation. Don't do it every day. Some people do it every day or every 2 days, and it really just ruins you. You feel really lethargic and stuff, and you feel really shitty after doing it for a couple of weeks. Freshers obviously go crazy. It's great fun, freshers, and do freshers, but freshers is there to get it out of your system so you can then knuckle down and start doing university work. Sport night, definitely go on sport night. It's good fun, but again, if you've got maybe a crit the next day, wouldn't advise against it. I'd just advise against it even. It's just keeping the balance and stuff, and don't slip into the illegal side of things, because that can really hurt people. It can really hurt you, and I know it's a really dark way of ending this video, but it's really important to know it because it does take a lot of people mentally. It can ruin people, and you don't want to, you know, at the end of the day, you're spending about 40 grand to live at university, you know, to go through all the university life, you know, 9.25k per year, and then you've got your living costs as well, which probably adds up to around 40 to 50,000 pounds. So you're that much in, and you don't want to be wasting it by having to do another year because you got consumed by something that maybe shouldn't have been consumed by at university. So just make sure that your university culture just stays at purely a sort of, I guess, purely a drinking level, and you just have fun with it. Don't get smashed and then put yourself in danger by getting blackout drunk. Even though your mates are egging you on to do it, don't do it because it won't benefit you, and it's dangerous as well. You know, I had a blackout drunk occasion where I managed to get lost between the club and an Uber, and it was a pavement's length. You know, I don't know how, but I just wandered off. Don't remember any of the night apart from I remember ending up in a university campus, and I was at a party, and the party then ended. Then my next memory of that night is that I was in a bus, and my final memory is that I woke up and, you know, I'd thrown up. It was a really grim situation. I had to clean everything up. Wasn't good. Had to call my mum about how to clean everything up. I didn't know anything, so just try not to get that drunk. But apart from that, enjoy uni. You know, enjoy it, and you know, find your own way in university life, and make sure that you have the best sort of experience for yourself. Don't regret anything. Don't regret not doing anything, because, you know, if you regret something, then you're probably not going to get another chance to do it because of how university life is in comparison to the working world life. So yeah, have a great time, work well, and if you follow these 10 tips, you'll probably find yourself living a very balanced and enjoyable university life. So yeah, that's about it, guys. So thank you very much for watching. If you did like the video, hit the like button and the subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot. Really appreciate it. But if you didn't like the video, hit the dislike button and let me know why in the comments below so I can look to improve things. Thank you, guys. That's all from me, and peace.